Welcome to the basic walkthrough for StorLogix Cloud. My name is Adam Taylor, and join me for the next little bit as we go over utilizing PTI's newest access control software. Starting off, StorLogix Cloud is a web-based version of StorLogix Desktop. The difference is, as long as you have an internet-connected computer, there is no restrictions on where you can access the software. You can log into StorLogix Cloud with any browser by typing the address given to you by the PTI tech at the initial installation. In the login box, type your username, then type your password. Finally, press the login button. If this is your first time logging in, StorLogix directs you to the End User License Agreement. Scroll through the agreement until you reach the bottom. This document is quite long, but only should take a couple of seconds to go through. When you reach the bottom, accept the agreement by checking the box and then clicking the Submit button. Finally, the site asks you to select the location you want to access. If you only have access to one self-storage site, you only see one site in the list. When you have made your selection, click the Submit button. After you successfully log in, you will see the home page for StorLogix Cloud. Through the rest of this walkthrough, I will show you a couple of valuable components of the product, starting with the flyout menu. To access the menu, click the three-line icon in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. The menu slides in from the left, and in it, you can access any feature StorLogix Cloud offers. Next is the StorLogix button. Click this button if you start exploring or using StorLogix and want to return back to the home screen. Moving on, we have the Falcon XT connection status icon. When the icon is black, the site hardware connected and is communicating with the StorLogix Cloud server. When you see the red icon, one of two things happen. The Falcon XT disconnected from StorLogix Cloud, or there is data transferring to the Falcon XT from the server. One thing to know, when you first log on to StorLogix Cloud, the connection icon is red for the first couple of minutes, which is perfectly fine. Next is the Help button. In this walkthrough, I cover most aspects of StorLogix Cloud, but click this icon if you want to read through the user manual. Moving right along, we have the People on Site icon, which gives you the current number of tenants accessing the site. StorLogix Cloud shows you how many tenants on site by displaying the number in a red dot above the on-site icon. When you click the on-site icon, a menu appears giving you two options. View All takes the user list and filters it to only show tenants on site at that time. Clear All removes all on-site users off-site. Clicking this button is the same as if all your on-site tenants went to the exit keypad and left simultaneously. If you use this option, all your door security devices reactivate. The alarm icon gives you a count of active alarms at the site at any given time. The number above the icon is the alarm count, and if you click on the icon, you are directed to the event log to view all active alarms. We come to the login icon. The first thing you notice, the icon shows the name of the person logged into StorLogix Cloud. When you click the icon, you are presented with two options. The Switch Site box, if allowed, lets you switch between different StorLogix Cloud sites on your account. Then you have the Sign Out box, which, as the name suggests, logs you out of StorLogix Cloud. The rest of this walkthrough focuses on the 6 boxes found on the home screen. I want to stop for a moment and talk about the basic layout of a StorLogix Cloud page. The top bar appears on every page and gives you a quick overview of the site. Next, we have the tabs, which are the different areas you can access in a given section of StorLogix Cloud. Moving right along, the search function allows you to find information stored in a particular tab. Jumping to the right side of the screen, we come across the Add button. This button allows you to add a new entry into the tab's stored information. Beside the Add button, you will find the Action buttons, which allow you to perform different functions to the data in the tab. One thing to know, most tabs only have an Add and a Delete button. Jumping down to the Information section of the tab, we find the Select All box. Under the Select All box are the Group or Individual Select boxes. Above the information are the column headers, showing how we separate the data in each tab. Finally, we have the data itself. Each row in the table is an individual entry for the information found in the tab. All the information is editable by simply clicking on a particular entry. We focus the rest of this training on the home screen boxes, starting with the Users and Access box. Clicking the Users and Access box brings you to the User tab, which holds a list of all the tenants and non-tenants with access to the site. After clicking the Add User button, the software presents you with an Add User box. In this box, you will need to fill out the following: the person's first name and last name, the display name, which shows at the keypads when the person enters their code, the email address, and if the site requires, a PIN, which is an optional feature for extra security at the keypads. Next, you have the status checkboxes that allow you to enable or disable different features on the tenant's account. Dropping down, we have the Easy Code Enrollment box, which we cover in a different training. When you finish, click the Next button to proceed to the Access screen. Now that we have the person's information entered, we need to set up access to the site. Allowing access to the site starts with selecting the access level. We dive into what is an access level later in training. For now, know it's the access hours for the person. Click the desired access level, and it appears on the right-hand side of the box. In the code box, enter the person's access code. It can range from 4 to 9 digits. A couple of things about entering the code. First, you only enter the numbers, not the star or the pound. Second, by default, we hide the code. If you want to view it, click the eye on the right-hand side of the box. Once you are happy with the code, press the Add Code button, which moves it to the column on the right. If, for some reason, you need to change the code, after clicking the Add button, press the Delete button to re-enter the code. When you have the correct access information entered, press the Next button. Which finally brings us to the Miscellaneous Information box. You do not have to add any information to the box. It is entirely optional. When finished, press the Submit button to return back to the User tab. You have action buttons in the upper right-hand corner that allow you to manipulate a person's access to the site, starting with the Clear User Off-Site button. This button enables you to remove a person from the on-site list in StorLogix, much like the Clear All button removes everybody to off-site. Next is the Suspend button. This button disallows a person's access to the site. This button removes the access suspension from the person's account, allowing them to access the site. We finished this tour of the Access tab with the Delete button, which removes a customer from StorLogix and prevents them from accessing the site. Remember, the site's customer management software can override any of the action buttons. Moving right along, we come to the Cards and Codes tab. This section of StorLogix Cloud is where the access codes are stored. In this walkthrough, we focus on editing existing codes because you do have the ability to add a new code and delete codes, yet it is better to manage that through the customer management software. In the Data section of the tab, you can find the customer's name and current access code. To make any changes to the current customer code or other information associated with the code, click on the customer's entry. The Edit box appears. In this box, you can change various details of the customer's access code. Starting with the card name. In StorLogix, access cards and codes group together. Use card name to label different physical cards used for access. If the site only uses passcodes, do not change this box's entry. Much like the previous setting, we use card description to label physical access cards. Next is a handy but underutilized setting. The Times Used box allows you to limit the cards or codes use at the keypad. By default, all cards have an unlimited usage. Change this setting by entering a number. When the code reaches its limit, you can reset the usage, allowing it to function again. Next, we have the Code section. Here is where you edit the actual code. To change a code, delete the existing entry and type a new code. By default, we hide the code. Click the eye to view the entry. Another nice feature is you can set an expiration date for the code or the card. By default, any code or card access has an expiration date of 2035. StorLogix Cloud gives you the ability to change that date if required. In this box, you can set a start date for the code, i.e., set the date the code or card starts allowing access. Subsequently, you can set an end date for the code card access. Once you enter the information, press the Submit button to save the data and close the box. The Unit tab stores and allows you to manage the list of units on your site. One of the customer management software functions is to populate this list, so in normal operations, there is no need to add units to StorLogix manually. even though you can add units if needed. Besides adding units, there are a couple of built-in functions in StorLogix Cloud for managing units, starting with renting a unit. If you can rent a unit, you must be able to vacate a unit, which is the task of the highlighted button. You also have the power to suspend a unit, which blocks the tenant's access to the site, and you have a way with the Unsuspend Unit button to allow the tenant back on site. Finally, you can delete units. Note, the customer management software manages these preceding functions. This walkthrough focuses on editing existing units, which starts with selecting a unit from the list and opening the Edit Unit box. The first item to edit is the unit name or unit number. This name follows the naming convention of the physical unit. Next is the unit description, which allows you to elaborate on the unit name, i.e., describing the function or location of the unit. This box assigns the unit to a particular building, which helps in setting up elevators covered later in this training. Much like the building assignments, we have lighting area assignments. We cover lighting areas and their functions later in this training. Next, we have rearm time, hour, and minute. This function allows you to set how long a tenant has to enter the site and get to their unit without the door security reactivating. The timer pauses when the unit is open. You have the power to control different aspects of the unit with the highlighted checkboxes. One of the aspects you have control over is the suspension of a unit, and this allows you to enter a reason for the suspension. Once you complete the information in the details box, you can switch to the Assign To box to rent or assign units to a tenant. Again, the customer management software handles renting units to the tenants. Once you have all the information entered and the unit assigned, press the Submit button to save changes and close the box. The next tab we cover is one of the most critical tabs in StorLogix Cloud, the Access Areas tab. This one tab allows you to build the site in StorLogix Cloud, define the location of the units, and which keypads control access to the area. For any of the advanced functions of StorLogix Cloud to work, you must have multiple access areas defined. When installed, StorLogix Cloud comes with two predefined access areas, the first one being Main Area. This area represents the actual site before any configuration takes place. All the units and entry-exit devices start assigned to the main area. The next predefined area is Off-Site. This area represents everything that is not on the self-storage site. If the tenant gets moved off-site, they have left the site. Now we cover how to add an access area to StorLogix Cloud. We start by clicking the Add Area button, which opens up the Add Area box. The first bit of information in the box is the area name. This defines the area, building, or floor the access area represents. This box gives you a space to define the area name better, i.e., second floor of Building 2. These boxes allow you to define the location of the area by building and floor, which enables you to set up elevators. Next is the Unlimited checkbox, which denotes the maximum number of tenants allowed in an area. If you check this box, an unlimited number of tenants can enter an area at one time. If you choose to control the number of tenants in an area, uncheck the Unlimited box and enter the max number of tenants allowed in the area. This box assigns a lighting area to the entire area. Again, we cover lighting areas in a different section of the training. The Alarm Zone box, much like the Lighting Area box, assigns an alarm zone to the area, which we cover later in the training. Next is the Alarm Inputs. This security feature allows for door alarm sensors to function as area alarms. If someone enters an area without using the entry device and no one else is in the area, an alarm sounds. You can assign multiple inputs to one area. Precisely like the Rearm Timer in the Units tab, this defines the door security reactivation time of the units in an area. Following the Rearm Timer are two checkboxes to control access to an entire area during emergencies. The Suspend Access checkbox allows exit but does not allow entry into an area, while the Lockdown checkbox stops all entry and exit into an area. Once you've entered all the information, press the Next button to move to the next section. This section allows you to designate an entry device for the area. To select an entry device, choose from the left-hand column, and the device automatically moves to the right-hand column. Once you have selected all the entry devices, click the Next button to choose the exit devices. The method for selecting an exit keypad mirrors the entry keypad selection. An area needs an entry keypad. An exit keypad is optional. Click the Next button when you've made your selection. Finally, you have to select the units in an area. Select all the required units from the left-hand column, to move to the right-hand column. When you've selected all the units, click the Submit button to save your changes and close the box. Access levels are the primary connection with a site's customer management software. This function tells StorLogix where and when, on a site, a tenant has access. During the installation of StorLogix Cloud, the software creates two access levels. The first being the 24-hour access level, which has an interface number of 8. I will explain the significance of that momentarily. The second is the standard access level with an interface number of 1. You set the hours for this level during the installation process of StorLogix Cloud. By default, the main area is the only area connected to both levels. You have to add any additional areas manually. In this walkthrough, you learn how to add access levels to StorLogix Cloud. You start this process by clicking the Add Level button. In the Add Level box, the level will need a name. Most of the time, it corresponds with the schedule associated with the level. The next bit of information is the time zone number. We use this number to associate the access times set up in the customer management software to each access level in StorLogix Cloud. An example of this in action: if a site offers 24-hour access, and in their CMS, they assign it the interface number of 5, there needs to be an access level set up with the time zone number 5 with 24-hour access in StorLogix Cloud. When setting up an access level, you must assign all the tenants' access areas one at a time to the access level. Next, you add the correct schedule to the area. This feature allows you to have different time zones associated with other areas in the same access level. An example: Area 1 has 24-hour access, while Area 2 gets 9 to 5 access. Any customer assigned to this level gets into Area 1 anytime they want, but only has a limited amount of time to access Area 2. Must-have unit limits who can access an area. As the name suggests, a tenant must have a unit in the area to be allowed access. You do not use this feature on any area the tenant must pass through to get to the area with their unit. Nor would you use this when creating a manager's access level or assign it to an area controlled by the main gate. When you selected the area and time zone, click the Add Area button to attach the next access area to the level. If the level only has one area, click the Next button, bringing you to the Assign User box, which allows you to assign tenants to the access level manually. One thing to know: the site's CMS automatically assigns tenants to the level. When you complete the level, click the Submit box to save changes and close the box. Now we come to the Operations box on the home page, with the first tab under the box being the Company Info tab, which gives you an area to store different bits of information about the site. Starting with the site address. This is the physical address for the self-storage site, not the head or corporate office address. Second is the primary contact for the site, like the store manager or district manager. Third is the installer contact information. Sometimes there's a physical problem at the site. This information helps find someone who can correct the issue and define who originally installed the PTI equipment. The site key, which PTI uses to connect EasyCode, StorLogix Mobile, and StorLogix Cloud. The site code is a number PTI uses to differentiate between different StorLogix Cloud sites. This box shows the protocol used by the controller to communicate with connected devices, i.e. the site has PTI or Digigate keypads. Finally, we have the serial number for the small device that connects the controller to the StorLogix Cloud server. Once you enter all the relevant information, press the Submit button to save it. Operators are employees allowed to log into StorLogix Cloud. It is tempting to set up an operator per site, but every employee should have their own login. During the installation, PTI creates several logins for connecting various items to the software. Never delete these logins, or you risk corrupting your configuration in some way. Also on this list, you will find the operators you created. And if needed, you can delete these operators if not used. Remember, once you delete the operator, the person cannot log into the site. We now focus on adding new operators, which starts by clicking on the Add Operator button. The first piece of information is the login name. The employee uses this when accessing the website. Next, you will need to enter the security level, which denotes the employee's amount of access to StorLogix Cloud. Then the software asks you for a password, which can be 4 to 10 characters in length, with at least one number and a unique character. After you type the password, you will need to enter it again to confirm it. Following the password is the notification checkboxes, which allow you to get in-browser notifications of the individual sites or all the sites on an account. You must set the notification setting to allow in your browser. We enter the employee's first name and last name to show who is logged in and to have an audit trail of the employee's actions in StorLogix Cloud. Next, we need a display name. This is what shows in the upper right-hand corner of the website during an employee's StorLogix Cloud session. Finally, we need the employee's email address. We use this for password resets if needed. Once you have all the required information entered, press the Next button to proceed to the Access screen. You can control two aspects of the employee's access: the physical access to the storage site and access to the StorLogix Cloud website in the Access screen. Before we move to grant access, notice the site hierarchy from earlier in training. This section is where it comes into play. One operator can access as many sites as needed on the account. To provide an operator with access to the site, click on the site in the hierarchy. After clicking on the site, it turns blue. This means the operator will see the site in the site list when logging into StorLogix Cloud. When you click on the site, a couple of boxes pop up on the right-hand side. We use these to set up the operator's physical access to the site. When you grant physical access to the site, one thing to select is the access level, which in this case determines the hours the employee has access. Next is the actual access code itself, which can be between 4 to 9 digits. Note, if an employee already has an access code associated with their name, you will get an error when adding this code. Once you have the access level and code entered, click the Add button. The code appears in this column, but hidden. And jumping back to the hierarchy, notice the person icon has changed to green. This color change means the operator has physical access to the site. Note, you can set up access for as many sites as needed while on this page by repeating the previous process. When done entering all the relevant information, press the Submit button to save it and close the box. StorLogix Cloud loves to work with schedules. It needs a schedule to activate a lot of its features. You want the site to open and close at a specific time? You need a schedule. You want to relay a fire at a particular time? You need a schedule. The same thing rings true if you're going to close on a holiday. You need a schedule. This section of StorLogix Cloud manages time for the rest of the software. Schedules play such an important role in configuring a site. PTI by default adds 2 schedules to cover most of the needs of the site. Starting with the 24-hour time schedule. This schedule is the 24-hour, 7-day-a-week schedule. Anything assigned to this schedule never closes. The second schedule is the Access Hours schedule, which the hours are set up for during the initial StorLogix Cloud installation. More than likely, you will need more than the default schedules, so I'm going to walk you through adding a new schedule, which starts by clicking the Add Schedule button. The button brings up the schedule box, and it requires some information, starting with the schedule name. Most of the time, this mirrors the time set up in the schedule. Next, you will need to select the effective days for the schedule. As you can see, we only pick Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now we select the start time for the schedule. In this example, we selected 8 a.m. With a beginning, there must be an end. So next, we specify the end time. In this case, 5 p.m. All the days of the week do not have to have the same schedule. You can stagger the times during the week by clicking on the Add Time button. We will add 9 a.m. for the start and 6 p.m. for the end to Tuesday and Thursday in our example. When you've entered the correct times, press the Next button, which brings you to the Holiday Select box. You build your holiday schedule in a different part of the software. Here you only select if those holidays apply to your schedule. Once you have the correct holiday selected, press the Submit button to save the changes and close the box. PTI sells StorLogix Cloud to venues around the world. As such, we do not preload specific holidays into our software. We leave that to site management to determine which holidays the site recognizes. You start adding a holiday by clicking on the Add Holiday button. Once in the box, the first thing you enter is the holiday name. Next, you enter the start date and time for the holiday. If you're adding Christmas, you would put December 25th at midnight. Then you would enter the end time. In our example, it would be December 25th at 11:59 p.m. Following the date and time selection, you choose if the holiday reoccurs every year. If you choose to have the holiday reoccur, you have 2 options. First is the day of the month. You can select a particular day for the holiday to happen every year. For example, you can have the holiday happen every June 5th. The second option allows you to select the day and the week for the holiday to occur. For example, if you want the holiday to happen every third Thursday of November. Once you enter all the relevant information, press the Submit button to save and close the box. Jumping down to Tools, we look at StorLogix Cloud features that most site managers use in day-to-day operations. Beginning with Open Door Gate, which, as the name implies, if you want to open a door or a gate via the software, this is where you do it. The tab gives you a list of relays selected from the main list of relays. To add a relay to the Open Door Gate menu, make sure to select Allow Manual Trigger in Open Door Gate and enable a relay under the Relay tab. You have the option to select all the relays at once, or you can select a single or group of relays to control. Once you've selected all the relays to control, you can activate an individual relay or all or a group of relays. You have 4 ways to control a relay. First, you can activate the relay, which fires then releases the relay. This action unlocks the door, then locks it after a given period. The second option activates the relay and keeps it active, unlocking the door gate, but not allowing it to lock back. Hold Close has the exact opposite effect to the last option. The door locks and will not release no matter the user action. Finally, we have the Release button, which cancels any Hold Open or Hold Close commands, allowing the door to go back to its normal state. StorLogix Cloud records and stores every event that pertains to the access control system. Tenant interactions, software interactions, alarms, and errors all get recorded in StorLogix Cloud. PTI uses the event log to view the stored data. We keep the data for 2 years before deleting it. The event log uses a simple layout, starting with the search line at the top. Then we have the alarm action buttons, which controls the different functions for active alarms. Finally, we have the data screen itself, showing the filtered and unfiltered data in real time. In almost every tab in StorLogix Cloud, you have a search function, and the event log is no exception. The difference is the event log has a more powerful search function. To start a search, enter the information you need. Unlike the search function on all the other tabs, before you can find the data you need, StorLogix needs the data type. You have 5 choices. An event is a customer entering or exiting the site, an alarm, or an error. You can also search by the tenant's unit number, information entered at the keypad, or the tenant name. The last bit of information you can search by is the PTI device, including the controller. Next, you can filter the event log by time and date, or only see events for a specific period. You will need to enter a start date and an end date to use this function. Now we come to the event filters. With this, a manager can limit the data shown in the log. For example, you can filter the event log to view when tenants access the site. Now we jump over to the action buttons. PTI designed these buttons to control the alarms with 4 options. First, you can clear a single selected alarm. Second, you can silence a single selected alarm. Third, you can clear all the alarms. And finally, you can silence all the alarms. The reason there are 2 options for the alarms is how StorLogix manages the alarms. If you silence an alarm, StorLogix Cloud releases the alarm relay, stopping any auditory or visual devices from signaling an alarm. Clearing an alarm tells StorLogix to silence the alarm and that you have corrected the issue that caused the alarm. The last icon has nothing to do with alarms. With the Export button, you can take data from the event log and move it to an Excel file. Finally, we come to the Utilities box, where we hold 2 essential tools. First is the Send All to Falcon button. When pressed, all the data in the StorLogix Cloud database for your site gets pushed to your site hardware. You can use this as a troubleshooting tool if a tenant has issues accessing the site. One thing to note, the Falcon XT goes offline during a send-all. The second is the reporting function in StorLogix Cloud. The event log does a great job of recording events, but you would need to use this function if you want to get a hard copy of the data. You have 27 reports to select from, which gives you a myriad of site information. When you find the desired report, select it and press the Run button to generate the report. After running the report, you can save it as a PDF, an Excel file, or, with the tiny button on the right-hand side, you can print a hard copy of the report. Again, my name is Adam Taylor, and I want to thank you for joining the StorLogix Cloud training. If you have any questions, please submit a ticket to PTI support at www.ptisecurity.com/support.